Hey everybody, Super Squee here, the emotionally unstable gamer channel on YouTube, back for some more big list stuff. So let's jump right in. It has a plethora of bugs, which mostly don't break the game, but the remastered version of Borderlands 1 that released earlier this year is a really good time. Yeah, it lacks some quality of life changes made in its sequels, and yeah, the writing is pretty bland at times, with a few gems in the quest text now and then, but it is still a lot of fun, especially with friends. I never finished the final DLC for this, even though I've owned the original on PS3 for forever, and my girlfriend and I super overleveled by the end of our playthrough to make anything remotely challenging, but that did not take away from the ride being gore-filled and wonderful. So, if I would say honestly, if you are not a long-time Borderlands fan and have not played the series at all and you want to get into it, start with this one if you don't mind, because if you start with 2 or pre-sequel or something else, or even 3, you're gonna be like real annoyed by shit that's in this game. It's not like a deal breaker, it's not super bad, but this game does show its age in some ways, so I feel like if you go back to it, it'll be like, Argh! But it's like, I played through this with my girlfriend, we had an amazing time, me and Anna had an absolute blast. She played Mordecai. She used a lot of boosts to like get better loot and make her Bloodwing do more damage. And I played Brick for the first time, and I like punching things. So I made all my shit explosive damage and just blew people into gibs, and it was absolutely wonderful. But as soon as we started playing the second one, like both of us were just like, wow, this is much better. Just like gameplay, like design-wise. It's just like it doesn't feel as archaic in some ways. But it's still a great time regardless. It's a good loot and shooter. Definitely more fun with friends. I personally find it enjoyable even solo, but definitely more fun with friends. I'd give it a B-. Not bad, very enjoyable, and if you are one of the people who want to see a live-action Lion King, I'd say it's worth it. Also, look, I get we're conditioned by all the media that shows animals expressing more human-like in cartoons or like a stylized choice in CGI, but real animals emote more like this movie portrays. And honestly, it doesn't bother me. The emotions shown, coupled with just how my house cats act, were dead on, and I loved it. That said, it was weird how this movie kind of defined rules for how the animals were and then broke them. This mostly seemed to apply to Timon and Pumbaa, but did happen in a few other places. So yeah, ultimately, I don't think that this movie is as bad as everybody wanted to like act like it was, or like, I guess the vocal minority, because maybe it was just a vocal minority. It's not a bad movie, honestly. It didn't need to be made, which I share that opinion with the live-action Aladdin movie. It wasn't as bad as I was led to believe, but it also didn't need to be made. Like, there wasn't a reason to remake it, like, really. And I feel like they didn't transform this or that in such a way that, like, it mattered. I really like the live-action Jungle Book. I really like the live-action Beauty and the Beast, honestly. But this just, I don't know. This and Aladdin, they're just, I feel like they don't need to be here. Like, I mean, really none of them do, but I don't know. That's just my opinion. I mean, if you don't like it, you don't like it, whatever, but I didn't think it was bad. Look, I get why Rock Band 4 isn't as great as 3, the list isn't the longest, and it's still a super cool game, and given at this point Harmonix might as well be an indie company, the things they did do were amazing. But Rock Band 3 is the definitive Rock Band for me. The game thrives on your own downloaded songs, though, and having 393 songs to choose from, while playing the game's version of a story mode definitely helps. That isn't to say that a lot of the game's included songs aren't great, but I like that I can mold the experience more to the artists I enjoy. So I have not tried the new DLC for Rock Band 4. I have purchased it. I haven't fucked with it yet. I'm curious. I'm excited to mess with it and check it out sometime soon. I have even more songs at this point. And next time I play it, I'll probably make sure I play it like after I get paid from work, so I can like spend like $50 on a bunch of songs, because I really like doing that, like adding a bunch more. But yeah. Okay, so this one was a choice by another friend of mine, Camille. I mean, I can see how some people could get enjoyment out of this film, but I did not really at all. After having time to think about this one, I still think it's one of the worst films I've ever wasted time on. It had great setting, it had gorgeous places to look at, and a nice cute booty to look at for 5 seconds. But otherwise, fuck, I was bored, uninterested, and cringing the whole time. It's like someone had an alright kind of cool idea for a horror setting, and then the writers just fucked it up and made it irredeemable. And this is the game choice by Camille. Look, honestly, your mileage is going to hardcore vary depending on if you like things like I Spy, Where's Waldo, and any other type of hidden picture game / book, etc. The game does a really good job of standing on its own, though, with varied environments, cute little NPCs, with a lot of personality, and the added benefits of being a game and not a book. My only real gripe with this game comes from the giant levels that are just monstrous in size. I get that it's supposed to be harder and a needle in a haystack type of situation, but when it comes to the typical media, these activities are presented in when it comes to the typical media that these activities are presented in, i.e. books, you have a limited amount of real estate to work with and can scan the pages easier. Granted, this is just a me gripe, because though I can find enjoyment in activities like this one, I'm not the targeted audience for this game. So if you love that shit, then hell yeah, this is all for you. Hand-drawn style is awesome, sound effects are awesome, and all done by one guy. Just so much love and character is in this bitch. So Hidden, folks, is just like a... It's like an I Spy, Where's Waldo type of thing, where you gotta search around for different items that they give you to finish the level. And it's got all these cute little black and white people, and you can also invert it so it's like dark mode and it doesn't like rot out your eyes. I played most of the game in that mode. It is a lot of fun, but it isn't my, like, I'm not the demographic, like, honestly. And I do feel like still that if this was something that was released as like a book, like, I'd enjoy that more, because I can move my fingers on the page and follow everything, and there's not like a bright light shining in my face from, like, you know, the game screen, and I can like look down and zoom in with my eyes, you know what I mean? But with this, I feel like it's just harder, because depending on the screen you're on, depending on, like, you know, how well you zoom in, like if your eyes are focusing on a million moving pieces, because there are moving pieces in these, like, it's not a big gripe. It's not even like a real gripe. That's why I said it's a me gripe. Sounds like my dad might be coming home on his motorcycle, so if you hear loud noises for some reason, I apologize. Dude. Okay, so this was my friend Cheyenne's choice for a movie. Dude, this fucking movie is actually pretty fucking enjoyable. I remember seeing parts of it as a kid and being terrified, and it is still pretty creepy, but the effects were awesome, the music whimsical, the grandma's hot. Also, fuck you, J.K. Rowling, for stealing ideas from this shit. I seen you. Think you can hide, but I seen. So yeah, there's a character in this called Harry Potter, and it originated way before Harry Potter was ever even a book. So yeah, you do the math. We couldn't really hear the sounds of the machine, though judging by the long play I looked up to show my girlfriend, we didn't miss much. This is basically a game where you help Aerosmith fight the man, who turns out to be a giant censorship ogre. Premise aside, the game was pretty cool visually, and I enjoyed the fuck out of myself, and the alternate fire on the gun was CDs. And if you get the superpower up for those CDs, they become laser discs, and shoot flaming discs that deal shit tons of damage. The game was definitely a quarter muncher back in the day, because without a free play mode, I would have never in a normal setting gave this machine my money. Every single boss takes like 10 plus minutes to beat, just being disgusting bullet sponges. But if you've got emulation means, or you happen to have a free play pay for the day arcade nearby with this, and you love light gun games, it's worth a playthrough. So it's literally just like a light gun game that you help Aerosmith, like, fight the man, because like music has been outlawed. I heard a little bit of it, but it's got like big stereo speakers that are supposed to blare out music. But the pay for the day arcade that I have by my house, they play awesome music themselves through big ass speakers. So you don't really hear anything from a game like this. And I think the speakers were also kind of old, because a lot of the other games I can hear their sound, but this one I did not. So, but it looked good and it played well, you know. This was also Cheyenne's choice for a game. I tried the N64 version first and then played this one because I was emulating, and I was just trying to, like, get the best control scheme. And when you're trying to emulate N64, depending on the game you're playing, it's kind of hard to map the buttons properly because, like, those controllers were kind of weird. It's a fun concept. Jim Cummings is the man of the house. Green titty, cheat codes, wonkety wonk. No, I'm high. I'm sorry. So apparently, I was high, and I used and I remember I used a bunch of cheat codes on this when I played it, just because I wanted to get through it and fuck around. And it's an old enough game. I feel like, you know, cheat codes weren't just some overpowered mess. There's no achievements. There's no wild other shit, and the game's kind of wonky. So, you know, but it honestly, it was enjoyable. It was kind of fun, and it had decent voice acting, and like the premise, though, like really simple and like meh, was like really cool. Like, and there was even like backstories for like some of the army men. Like one of them was made out of like plastic from like a surfboard or something, and that's why he's like got a surfer dude accent or something. So like that was kind of cool. It's like the army men are made out of different types of plastic. Like they were burned down originally from other plastics, so they have different personalities because of it, which is kind of like it's like stereotyping in a way, but like it's comical and silly, and I had fun with it. And I don't think they meant anything by it. This movie was incredible. Like, before I even get into anything, like, this movie was incredible. This movie is a fucking experience. Go watch it right the fuck now. You know, honestly, I would love to take shrooms and watch this movie. Like, I think I would experience it on a whole nother level. So, Chris, if you're hearing this right now, let's do shrooms and rewatch True Stories. Like, it'll be a blast. It'll be an absolute blast. I don't know how to describe this movie, like, genuinely. It's a lot of fun. It's really interesting. I feel like it'll hit, like, weird nostalgia feels for you. Like, especially if you were, like, a 90s, 80s, 70s kid, like, around there. But I feel like the description on this poster right here is just, it is what you're getting. A completely cool, multi-purpose movie. I wish I would have watched this sooner. I was really, really happy it wasn't a crap fest. I felt like, at first, it being 2 hours was going to drag on me, but I never felt like I was bored, and I was always interested and wanting to know more about the world, and I loved that it still twisted further at the end. No, it's nothing groundbreaking or special necessarily, but it was super enjoyable, and I'd recommend it to any sci-fi junkie. So, like, I don't want to give anything away about this movie, but if you have Netflix, you like sci-fi movies, and you haven't seen this yet, like, watch it, please. Like, it's real good. It's really enjoyable. Definitely shows its age, but mostly in a good way. Beautiful animation and great voice work. Vaccinate your fucking kids. Especially, like, now. That's, like, super relevant. Like, you should have your children vaccinated. You should wash your fucking hands anyway. And by the way, I'm not one of the people that, like, buys into any of these conspiracies. Like, Russia didn't start it. Like, stop being racist to Chinese people. Like, just chill the fuck out. I do think people are freaking out more than they should. The fatality rate is not that high, all things considered, and only people that, like, catch pneumonia, which, okay, here, I'm going to take this moment on Balto to explain, at least from my understanding, and look, I'm not a scientist, so don't, like, quote me on this, but I did some research, like, off and on. So basically what happens is when you get the disease, it's whatever. It's not necessarily fatal. Or not disease, virus. It's not necessarily fatal. But then something about it is when your antibodies and your white blood cells or whatever like pop up and they're like, we're going to fuck this motherfucker up. You end up getting like pneumonia. And when the white blood cells try to attack the shit in your lungs, like if it gets down to your lungs to, you know, heal you and get rid of like the bad germs and virus and shit, it ends up attacking healthy flesh by accident. Like I guess it has something to do with like the virus confusing the white blood cells, which can cause you to get pneumonia, and then you die from pneumonia, which pneumonia, if you don't know, is when your lungs fill up with liquid and then you basically drown to death without actually being in water. So it's like if it hits your lungs, it can kill you, but a shit ton of people that have gotten it have ended up recovering. And the fatality rate is highest in like elderly and people that already have illnesses. So yeah, that sucks. That's scary. And it doesn't mean that you shouldn't wash your hands and clean up stuff and make sure that, you know, if you've got loved ones in areas that could get this, like they shouldn't be doing the same and that you shouldn't be helping them. Like, duh, you should. But, like, don't fucking, like, freak out, like, mass hysteria. Like, there's so many places out of normal, like, goods because they're so freaked out that they're going to get quarantined and have to stay at home. And, like, now, you know, for a safety reason, I feel like a lot of the events around my area and other areas are shutting down. Like, they're not having them. And that's smart, just in general, because you don't want to spread shit. But it's also making the people that were already panicking panic even more, and they shouldn't. So look, my advice, wash your hands thoroughly, make sure you, like, you know, clean yourself if you sneeze, or your area if you sneeze on something. Like, don't leave germs for other people to get sick. And, like, hey, it's like spring right now, so, like, you're gonna get allergies and shit anyway, so, like, take some emergency, like, take an allergy pill, like, feel better. Like, there are a million and one reasons why people are freaking out extra, even though, like, right now is normal, like, flu, you know, allergy season on top of this. And I get it, it's scary, it can be scary, like, just stay safe and, like, don't make it like bigger than it is, because people are going ape shit, and that's scarier than the actual coronavirus. But thank you for watching, everybody. Go watch Balto. Vaccinate your kids. If you don't vaccinate your kids, then, like, don't watch my videos. Like, go away. Okay, bye. Love you.